We're gonna get everything started. Welcome everyone to the June virtual summit of the Public Speakers Association, and we will get started with our first speaker. I want to introduce to you Katrina Sawa. Katrina is known as the Jumpstart Your Biz coach because she helps entrepreneurs make more money doing what they love. She is the creator of the Jumpstart Your Marketing System. Tell it like it is speaker, 7 times international best-selling author with 11 books. Katrina has a no-nonsense approach to showing entrepreneurs how to develop consistently profitable businesses, implementing proven marketing and business strategies. She's been featured on the Oprah and Friends XM radio network, ABC, the CW, and dozens of influential podcasts and radio shows. Katrina was awarded the National Collaborator of the Year award by the Public Speakers Association and a 2-time nominee of the Wise Woman Award by the National Association of Women Business Owners. She speaks to groups of all sizes, holds live training events annually, and she's the founder of International Speaker Network. So take it away, Katrina.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. I'm excited to be here. I'm just going to put a little info in the chat with some links to my websites for you. And then I'm going to do more of a PowerPoint today, but I'm happy to make it interactive. If you guys have questions, just unmute and ask a question. I just know a lot of people watch the replays more than showing up live, but I love for those of you who are on live. Thank you for being here. Today we are talking about how to make fast cash with easy yes offers. How to make fast cash with easy yes offers. Who wants fast cash, right? And who wants to know what the heck is an easy yes offer? Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull up the chat too, just so I can see it in case somebody has any questions. Okay, so it's all about making more. I'm all about helping people make consistent, smooth running, money making businesses. Consistency is the key because the roller coaster of cash flow sucks. So if you want that, say yes in the chat. Like if you're already there, fantastic. Let's just increase it and take a business to the next level, right? So we definitely, okay, good. Awesome, I'm in the right place. I'm here for one reason, which is to show you how to make more money. More money, more money, more money. Show me the money, right? So yes, I love to impact a ton of people. Yes, I want to help more people, but it really, if I don't stay money motivated in my business, the money doesn't come, right? So I talk a lot about money with my clients because sometimes they just want to help more people. Oh, I don't need that much money. I just want to help more people. Stop it is what I'd say. You have to get motivated by money somehow, some way. Even if you want to give it all away, great. If you have earning potential, however, you need to make as much money as humanly possible, okay? And then, especially the good people of the world, right? We don't want the greedy people to make a whole bunch of money. We want the good people to make a bunch of money in this world, so they'll do more good with it and they'll change the world. So that's really the goal here today. So you have to find out first what motivates you, right? Are you going to give back? Are you going to buy a bigger house or a second house? Like I always ask people, if you had an extra $1 million today, like $1 million, that seems a little unrealistic, right? I know, but if it was dropped in your lap by a long lost relative, what would you do with $1 million really right now or this month? You can put it in the chat if you want. I know when I asked that on a call recently, people say, well, I'm going to pay off my bills. I know that a lot of people were donating to charity, certain charities that they love, right? I would donate to animal rescues and cancer because my husband's a cancer survivor. And so I also want to travel and I want to help more people. So I would actually take some of that money and I would go fly around the world putting on workshops on my dime. Like I would just put the money out there and let people come for free, entrepreneurs who needed to know what they needed to do to build a successful money making business. So I would do that and not worry about ticket prices or what I'm selling or anything like that. I would just voluntarily do that, as well as having a house in Hawaii and a house in Tahoe. Thank you, because we like to have little getaways. So that's what I would do with $1 million if I had it. So you're welcome to put some stuff. Good. Brian says, pay some debts, create a place to coach men, a place for them to heal and guide. Awesome. Okay. So too many too many clicks on the thing. Okay, so a few things to think about in regards to money. When is the last time you raised your rates, right? I don't know what you all do exactly. I know it's what some of you do, coaching, whatnot, if you're a speaker, if you have other business models. If you are in a place where you set your own rates, when's the last time you raised them? And don't use the excuse, well, COVID, nobody's paying anything, blah, blah, blah. That's an excuse, because there's billions of people on this planet, and you just need to find the teeny tiny percentage of them that will pay whatever it is you want to charge for your value and your expertise. So you can raise your rates. You just have to talk to more people and find the people that will buy, because there's plenty of people that will spend $10, $50, $100,000 perhaps. Okay, so stop thinking too low and get small, and playing small in your business is the first thing. Then, are you offering the right things? So when you're talking, or just in general, are you selling the right programs, products, and services at the right price points? This is a really important strategy, that you make sure you're priced right and you have a variety of price points to offer, perhaps. I know one time I went to a workshop with Laura Langemeyer. I don't know, some of you might know her. And it was all about making fast cash. It was I don't forget what the name of it was, but you go, and I knew it at the time, but most people didn't know when they got there that we would all have to sell something in the room to each other, right? And so I was prepared with like order forms and all this stuff, and I was going to go in and sell a $2,000 program, right? A program. And then I had these little flash drives. I had these flash drives with me, and this was going to be my bonus to the $2,000 program. I put $500 worth of my online trainings on this flash drive. I said, look, if you sign up for the $2,000 program, which by the way has a payment plan today, I'm going to give you this flash drive with $500 worth of my online trainings for free as a bonus. And guess what people wanted? They wanted the flash drive. They didn't want to sign up for the $2,000 program, although I did get 2 people to buy that day, because if you don't have a high-end program at certain places, you don't sell one, right? And at the time, this, for a live event for someone, when I wasn't the speaker, I mean, the 2,000 is a pretty high-end thing to sell somebody in 5 minutes, right? So I sold 2 of those. One paid in full, one did a payment plan. I could only count the first payment when I was collecting the cash, what we were making, right? But I had 8 of these in my pocket. And when I said, you want the flash drive, huh? Okay. And they said, how much? And I'm like, $20. And people were throwing $20 bills and credit cards at me to get the 8 that I had in my stock. This is an easy yes offer, okay? Now, that was what people wanted, to try me out. They didn't know me, they wanted to try me out, right? So this is an example of an easy yes offer. And I'm going to show you some other examples in a minute, but are you offering the right thing? At the time, all my coaches, including Laura Langemeyer at the time, was telling me high end, just charge high end and forget about everybody else low end, right? And I realized, I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I need to have low end stuff for people who want to try me out and then move through my funnel, not just ignore the people who had a little bit money to spend or didn't want to invest heavily yet because they didn't trust yet, right? So having the right offerings in your funnel is critical, okay? So, and then are you doing enough day-to-day revenue producing activities? If most people are not, I'm still not. I mean, I could do so much more. And I have a team of 4 assistants now that they're doing a lot of stuff, but we're still not reaching as many people as I could potentially reach. And we're constantly working on that, okay? Constantly trying to get in front of more people more often and in more ways so that we could bring in more revenue. So these are the things that you want to think about when you're running your business, because this is what's going to make you more money on a regular, consistent basis. So I'd love to hear your money goals in the chat. So do you want to, and I like to do it by month. So how much money do you want to make per month? And the reason I do it per month is because sometimes when you say, oh, I want to make $100,000 this year, it's so big of a number for so long of a period that you can't quantify what you need to actually sell in a shorter amount of time. So do you want to make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever it is? I want to hear your number if I could. And then I want to encourage you to think a little bit bigger. look at Lila. She's 40K per month. Awesome. Great girl. That's awesome. So awesome. I want you to think bigger and keep playing along here. I love that. So today I'm going to cover 3 things. Why you want an easy yes offer. I kind of already covered that, hopefully. Hopefully you can see that it's really, really important to have an easy yes offer. And let me just put my time clock on so I know what time it is. Okay. And then steps to creating your easy yes offer. And then the 4 other levels of offers you may want to also have in your funnel. So that's what we're going to talk about. And this is me and my family, Jason and Riley. If I want to help people not only build a consistent revenue generating business, but doing it around the kind of life you want to live, not fitting your life in around your business. And so this is really important because if you're not selling the right things, you may not have the life you want. You may be working way too hard. So my life would consist of having fun with my family and inspiring others at events and in my mastermind and other client events, and then going on vacation. And if that's all I ever did, I'd be a happy camper. Like seriously, I don't have a huge bucket list of, doing all these grandiose things. I'm a homebody and I like to hang out with the people that, positive people in my life. Now the official stuff real quick is, I've been doing this for 19 years. I have lots of awards. I have a huge, broad expertise because I've invested $250,000 easily in the last 19 years in my own coaches and mentors and masterminds in order to learn the stuff that I'm teaching you, okay? So I came with a marketing degree, and I used to work with small business owners in the local area here in Northern California, selling newspaper advertising 20 years ago, right? Thank God I got out of it when I did, right? Because newspaper went, but newspaper, people didn't know what they didn't know. They would just give me their business card to run an ad. And I'm like, no, you need to do this, that, and the other thing in your business, or it's not going to be successful. And so that's when I went out on my own and really started helping people with their marketing and then their business. And now not just local stuff, but now online and globally. And I just love to make this fun because marketing and selling are the 2 most critical things that entrepreneurs and speakers need to do. That's just plain and simple. So you always have to be honing your skills on marketing and sales, period. And now with the virtual world, oh my God, there's so many opportunities. I've had all kinds of problems. So, if you have excuses, I've had them too. I've got a husband who had cancer. I had 2 total hip replacements. My dad died in the last few years. There's shit that happens, right? And I'm like, sorry, but it happens, right? And you have to keep going. You have to put things in place in your business and systems so that if something happens and you can't work or you have to take care of a loved one, your stuff is still out there. You're still marketing. This is why I have a team, right? I have an amazing team of my CPA, bookkeeping company, 3 assistants. I just added a new social media person. And of course, my husband's on my team. And then all the organizations I belong to, public speakers in there, everybody that is in my circle is on my team in a way, right? So let's talk though about your funnel. So we have, you guys have seen, I'm going to show you a couple different slides that show this in 2 different ways. But of course, we have to have free gifts on our website, right? We need to drive traffic to our website to get people on an email list. And so we need to give something away other than a newsletter and other than a free call, please, because most people will not sign up for your free call the first introduction to you, okay? So you design your website for people who don't know you at all. So what are the things you have to give away? So you got to have free stuff. And then you need to have low price stuff like the easy yes offers, right? Now, easy yes offers, I usually talk about doing from the stage. So when you're a speaker or even in networking situations, you make an easy yes offer to get somebody into your world, right? So something under $200 really. But you can do this on your website also. It's just if you're going to get people to a phone call with you, a sales conversation, so to speak, and they're interested in hiring you, that is not the place to offer an easy yes offer. Let me just make that clear, okay? That's when you offer the high-end thing and maybe, negotiate down a little bit if you need to. And then at the very last resort, if they were going to leave the call or something, then you can try to get them an easy yes offer. But please don't start with the easy yes offer in that phone conversation, because that's when you can get people that are, you can get them engaged more with you, and they'll buy higher price things. Okay. So I'm mostly talking about this as an initial offer when you're just out and about on networking calls or you're speaking somewhere. Like today, if I was going to make an offer, it would be something under $200, right? Or free. So then you have your signature product or service, your continuity programs like memberships. You might have events live or online. You might have higher end offerings like a mastermind. You can have one-on-one. You might have retreats, different things like that. So those are the kind of things in your funnel. And this is a different way to look at it, which there's no to low risk and no to low access. So these are your free things and the really low price things like under $20 or under $30. Okay. That's easy for someone to take advantage of if they're new to you. And it also is low risk because it's no contact with you. So that's what most people will want when they first reach out to you, is something no contact. Okay. Unless you've made a huge impression and they're more trustworthy with you, then they might dive in. So it's like dipping your toe in or stepping into the shallow end of a pool with the medium risk and the some access, and or jumping all the way in and diving into the deep end of the pool. That's the high risk, high access. Now, of course, we know our services aren't high, they're not risky, but for someone to invest $5, $10, $20, $30,000 with you, it's a big investment for them, right? So that's higher access, high risk. So these are the kind of things that you want to have in your funnel. You're welcome to take a picture of the slide, but the Easy Yes offer is in the middle, and because it's a couple $100, right? So you could have anything from say $200 to $4,000 in this medium risk. And then high risk would be like 5,000 to, $50 or 100 even. So I know I've paid $100,000 for a coaching program before, so you can too, or you can charge it for sure. So here's some examples of Easy Yes offers. These are just examples, but you could do a consult. So if you are speaking and someone loves your content, they might be willing to pay $50 or $100 or $150 for a consult with you. Even if your consults are normally $500 or $750 an hour. Mine are higher, like $800 an hour is what I charge usually in my coaching programs for 1 hour of time. But I will still do a 1 hour call for a couple $100, okay? Because it's just to try me out. It's like a sample, and then I'm gonna wow them, and then they're gonna want more, right? So you don't have to continue using these prices. It's just to get someone to dip in more than their big toe, okay? And so you just phrase it that way, right? Introductory offer, whatever. I can tell you number 4, was 4 hours for $100. This is how my current bookkeeper got me to work with her. Is she was at an event and she made this offer. We were talking about this kind of thing, and she's like, well, I could use some new bookkeeping clients. How about 4 hours for $100, and we'll start doing your books and things like that, and you can see what it's like. I'm going to hand her I was in the market for looking at a different bookkeeper. I wasn't really happy with mine, right? So I said, sold, wrote her a check, and I gave her all my stuff. What's going to happen after I give her all my stuff? I do not want that back. Are you kidding me? So she why do I want that back? So she just kept, her billing was like $150 a month or something like that. And it still is. I'm grandfathered in at that price, which is amazing, right? And I just sent her stuff, and I'm telling you, I don't even know how many years it's been. It could have been 8 or 10 years. It might be 8 or 10 years later that I've been working with the same bookkeeper because of this Easy Yes offer. I'm just telling you. I also have a virtual assistant who did this at one of my events. She came to, excuse me, my event and offered 4 hours for $100 for her. Even though it was like half her regular rate, she got so much money, like so many clients, it was ridiculous. Now, the next time she came to my event, which she was a client for a while, she doubled that price because she realized it was way too low and way too much work. But at the time, she really needed cash. And so she made this great offer and got a bunch of new clients. And some of them are still with her today, which is probably 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So these kinds of things can really make or break your success, and they can turn into so much more cash in the background, you guys. So this is great to do. please, if you're talking to a new audience with people that don't know you and you're on stage, whether it's virtual or in person, please I mean, there's times when you can make offers for 500 or 1500, perhaps. Okay. If you had a 90-minute keynote, perhaps, and it was okay to sell, maybe you could make an offer for $1,000 or $2,000. People do it all the time, but there's very few that are successful at it. Okay. Meaning they make a bunch of cash in the back of the room. You've seen those people run to the back of the room, right? But it's a very small percentage of the speaker population that is really good at closing from stage. So I would recommend, unless you know you're super good at closing and you can really work the room and you have a long enough time to build that relationship, meaning an hour to 2 hours, then I would stick with an easy yes offer if I were you, because I'd rather see you get, in a room of 50 people, I'd rather see you get 10 or 20 people signed up for $100 offer than 2 people at 2,000 or something, right? I mean, that's just more to work with. So think about it that way. So those are the kind of things I wanted to share today. There's a little bit more. So I'd love to see if anybody has an idea for a new easy yes offer in the chat. You're welcome to put that. Something that maybe you're selling now. It could be a product that you have. It could be a training that's already recorded that normally sells for 500, and maybe you're going to blow it out from stage for 99 bucks or something like that. That would be a great thing. What I like to do, though, think about how you what you want to sell people into eventually. My goal is to have people do one-on-one coaching with me or get into my Live Big Mastermind. So they're higher dollar, right? 5-figure investments usually. So I want to have a conversation with people. So I will usually throw in a free call with somebody. So think about this. If I have a 197 easy yes offer from stage, this is what I do. I've done on stage at PSA many conferences in a row. I've done a $197 offer with a ticket to my live event, because I have one. If you don't have one, then obviously that's not helpful. But I have a 3-day event twice a year that's normally $300 or maybe more. But so I'll throw in a live event ticket, an online training, maybe a 3-part or 6-week online training that's already recorded, right? And I'll throw in one of my books or maybe 2, and then I'll throw in a phone call with me, like an hour, sometimes an hour, maybe 30 minutes, all for $197. That is an easy yes offer, because it's like a no-brainer for somebody who really wants to try me out, even if they only use 1 or 2 of the things, because I've put so many different things into that package. It makes it like, oh, well, even if I only just do her online training, that's a hell of a deal. Or even if I only just talk to her and I don't bother with any of the other stuff, that's a good deal because of all the value, right? So think about that, because like I said, I ultimately want to get people into a call. And now I will give tons of coaching in that call. Don't get me wrong. I won't just like try to sell them, but they're going to see that they're going to want more, right? So think about what you need to have and then put that into the easy yes, and don't worry about your value. It's just to try me out offer. Okay. People get hung up on that. And I know I did too in the beginning. So it looks like Lila said course curriculum package sale. Great. So if your goal is to not sell coaching and sell more courses, then yeah, you may not want to throw in an hour of your time, because they're going to want you, right? So you might want to sell more courses for sure. So when to sell what? Easy yes offers are best at speaking gigs 30 minutes or longer where attendees have paid to be there, or speaking gigs 60 minutes or longer that are free to attendees. Webinars and calls you can host. Inside social media groups that you run too. So if you're running a group of a community on social media, you can make little offers like this, 20 bucks, 50 bucks, 100 bucks. And you'll often get a lot of people that'll take you up on those because they're following you, right? And then there's a whole bunch of other free offers. Of course, you could do the same place, live or in-person networking events where you're an attendee. I often actually make easy yes offers as an attendee on Zoom too. I'm really good at working the Zoom room. And then, of course, high-end offers are one-on-one sales conversations or events you host. Typically, that's how you do them. So that's when to sell what. And then these are the 5 levels of offerings, which I kind of outlined in that funnel thing earlier. But you got to have a couple freebies, not just one. easy yes offer, try me out, and then do it yourself. Maybe like have an online signature training or something, or it could be a group. And then maybe one-on-one if you're going to offer one-on-one. And then the whole enchilada to me is just like if you throw everything in the kitchen sink, which is what I do in my mastermind, the whole enchilada could be something that you offer. So that's what I'm thinking for you. And you might need some funnels. You might need some landing pages. You might need a text campaign. You might need bonuses or buy now buttons on your website. There's other things that you might need. And I know I'm getting close to my time. So I want to just make sure you guys know how to get a hold of me or get more information. This is a group that I run, and it's a free networking group. So it's great to be a part of PSA, but also some other speaker networks too, which is mine is the International Speaker Network. And we meet twice a month, and it's free. You can also sign up to be a speaker. Just go to ispeakernetwork.com. And then here's a couple of things that you can do today as well. I have a free training. I have 8 different free trainings. Remember I said to have a bunch of freebies on your website? So I create stuff all the time, like one-on-one. I do some group calls. I might do a free call as a preview to something, and then I'll make that a freebie, right? So I have freebies on my website, like free training for how to become a speaker, how to become an author, how to jumpstart your business. So go take advantage of some of these. And I'm sorry, it says jumpstart your marketing, and it's jumpstart your biz now. So I'll put the link in the chat in a second. And then I do events too. Like I have a speaker training coming up this summer that starts next week. That's a paid event. And then a one-day book event in August too. So you can go to jumpstartevents.net. And yeah, I'll put some of those links in the chat. Any questions? You guys get some ideas for easy yes offers? And maybe some other things you can sell? I hope so. Nobody's talking. You guys are all being shy. Hi, Nora. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, that was great. That was great, Katrina. I got some great ideas on packaging. I love the jump drive idea. Putting courses on there and packaging them up. And, and I have some events coming up, and I just might go ahead and try that.
Yeah, and you know what? And I would recommend you mail it. This is the thing. We can all do stuff on email and, I'll send you the links to the download pages and blah, blah, blah. But when you can stick something in the mail, then you have to get their mailing address. And you want to get their mailing address these days because you need to be mailing people things because they're not seeing half your emails and they're not seeing half your social media posts. So I'm just saying that to everybody. Please start getting mailing addresses with things. After the initial opt-in, what can you do with your list to get them to give you their mailing address, right? So that's critical.
Great tip.
Yay. All right, Brian, did I cover everything you wanted me to cover?
Yes, you did great. And yes, it's time for our next speaker. So yeah, thanks very much, Katrina.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on and go to our next speaker. So I want to introduce to you Lila Veronica. Lila is a speaker, business movement coach, and host of the WOW, or Women Who Own Their Worth podcast. She personally mentors business owners and organizational leaders to own their value in the world and clear blocks getting in the way of their success. Lila loves helping her clients create innovative ways to radically elevate their prosperity and increase their community impact while staying fit and healthy along the way. All right, so I want to welcome to our virtual stage Lila Veronica. Take it away.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much. Can you see me? Okay, there I am. Hello, 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 friends. Thank you, Katrina. That was such a beautiful presentation and a good reminder to always consider the people and what they need and how can we serve them at a really high level. I really appreciate that. My name is Lila Veronica, and like Brian said, I'm a business movement coach. I'm a speaker and a podcast host of the WOW, Women Who Own Their Worth podcast. The reason I call myself a business movement coach is primarily because there's a lot of people who learn strategy, and yet they can't get their business moving. So what I do is I really help people primarily women and couples who are in business together, integrate their body into their business, really get out of the head so much and live from the heart. And we talk a lot about from living from the heart. And today I'm really going to go deeper on that and on the how. So today's talk is about the future of feminine leadership. So I would like to know from you in the chat, when I say feminine leadership, what does that mean to you? What is that, when you hear that, what comes up for you? And as you're writing in the chat, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for considering, even what feminine leadership is. I want to thank the Public Speakers Association for bringing me on today. And I know there's a talk after this around men, and I think it's really neat that we're here together today to talk about business, to talk about leadership, and to talk about the future. And this word feminine leadership, and just the word feminine in general, is a buzzword right now. And I think there's a little confusion, pretty sure there's a little confusion about what it is. And I want to start off and say it's a gender neutral conversation. It's not about men and women. It's about an energy of really bringing in the heart, the love piece of the human, and integrating it with the logic, the thinking mind piece. There's a lot of people thinking, and perhaps not making choices from the heart. And whether you're a man or a woman, you can be leading from the heart, or you can be leading from the mind. You can be leading from logic, or you can be leading from love. So today is really about talking about this new era of leadership and how people are really starting to step into leading from love. Whether you're a woman or a man, you want to start to lead more from love. Why? I'm going to get into it in a second. So let's see what everybody says. Feminine leadership. To me, it means women doing what they are meant to do. Women advancing in leadership, a different perspective. Yeah, so that's part of it. The women piece is part of it. But I want to ask you, have you been seeing men leading from the heart more lately? And have you ever seen a woman lead all from the head and not from the heart? So it's not even really about the woman leading or the man leading. It's about an energy. And I work with a lot of clients who struggle because they've learned a ton of strategy and it still's not working for them because they're trying to figure it out. And so I'll just share a little bit about myself and why I do what I do and how I got here. I grew up with a single mom in Dayton, Ohio, and she was a young mom, and it was a really hard time for her. And so I received love more so from academic achievements. So if you're ever been a type A driven person, you get you get my kind of personality. Whatever I want to do it, and I want to be really good at it, the best I can possibly be. And so I was, in elementary school, I started a student senate. And I was in sports and baseball and cheerleading, and I was on student, senate and high school and yearbook staff and all of the things, went to college, got a bachelor's degree in environmental science. I've always had a big heart for the world and wanted to figure out how to help the world become a better place. And I got a master's in environmental policy after that, trying to figure out how to help the world again by looking at the laws and the policy. Worked in consulting for a number of years, and then I went on for a PhD in environmental science and policy. And that was at The Ohio State University, and I was teaching at Ohio State. And in 2013, I basically drove myself into an unhealthy state by working too much. And I was getting doing my qualifying exams as part of my PhD process, and I started to recognize I was hallucinating a little bit. I was like seeing things that weren't there, and my adrenals started to fail, and so I got to a point where I was very unhealthy and unable to get off the couch, and it was really because I was just overdoing it, thinking, using my mind so much. And so I just want to honor you. If you've ever been in a place in your life where your intellect has got the best of you, that's what this talk is about today. You can feel good and create a lot in the world, if you choose to take care of yourself. And that's what feminine leadership is a lot about. It's really about taking care of yourself and leading with your heart. And I'll tell you how I got here after the couch. So, like I said, in 2013, I had this, time where I was just, I realized I had to take care of myself. Not only was my health suffering, I had really high blood pressure. They were very scared. I was on high medication and they couldn't get it down. I was married and my marriage was falling apart, and I was very stressed out at work. I wasn't really enjoying my research and my teaching like I used to. So everything just felt like it was falling apart. And I went to a yoga class and it felt really good. And it was the best that I had felt in years. And as a high achiever, I thought to myself, how many days in a row can I do this? So by day 42, I had a huge opening in my experience, 42 days of yoga in a row. And I made massive shifts in my life. I chose to end the relationship in my marriage. It was, like I said, it was falling apart anyways. So I chose to make the choice to step out of it and create peace together instead. I chose to leave my career and take care of my body for a period of time. And I chose to move across the country and start a business a few years later. And what I started in my business was teaching people how to feel better in their body, especially very highly sophisticated minded women in particular. The women have a lot to add to the world, and they can do it more so if they're out of their head and in their body. I know this, I've seen it. And when I started doing this work, I recognized that there was a lot of blockages, a lot of resistance to the body. And so no matter how much I wanted to help people with their body, the mindset stuff started coming up, right? Because the truth is the issues are in your tissues. And so all of those years I spent in academic achievements, my body was building up issues. My body was starting to just fail because I wasn't paying attention to it. I never thought about my feet, my pinky toe. I never thought about my knees and my arms. I might have exercised, but I didn't really feel them. And so feminine leadership is about feeling your entire self and using logic as a tool, not as a driver. The heart as a driver, and I'll teach you guys how in a little bit. But that the heart as a driver will allow the mind to settle and you won't wear yourself out so much. And so I got into coaching and then business coaching. And the only reason really I started doing business coaching was because I had built a successful business and all of my colleagues and friends and people that were seeing me wanted to know how. So I started teaching some business strategy. I ran a few masterminds over the years. And what I recognized was that there was only a few people who could really make the strategies work right away. I'm typically that person. I go into something, I learn, I do, and I have success fast. But not everybody's like that. And I was like, what is going on? And so I recognized really quick, no matter what business strategy you teach people, no matter what YouTube video somebody watches, no matter what marketing strategy, no matter what offer, no matter what sales strategy they have, none of it's going to work if they don't own their own worth, if they don't feel their own breath, if they're not in their own heart. It's all from the head and it's not in alignment with who they really are. So I loved what Katrina brought forward in terms of, opening the mind to different kinds of offers, because sometimes business owners get really stuck in strategy. Anybody get stuck in strategy before? The how? If you're asking yourself how, it's usually you already know the answer, or somebody does, you can go ask them. That's not the issue. The issue is living from the higher self, the heart, the soul self, not the how do I do it so it's right self. That's judgment. And so today I'm going to teach you guys some super simple tools to really get into your body. The body piece is the feminine piece. The mind piece is the masculine piece. And as humans, luckily, on planet Earth, we have it all. But most business owners are only using their logic and their mind, and their bodies are suffering. And then when they show up to people, people can feel it. If you're not taking care of yourself, people know it. If you're always in your head, people actually don't want to connect with you as much. And so when you're really grounded as a human in your body and your heart, all that mind stuff starts to settle and you can connect with people easier. So I'm going to give you guys some tips today on how to do this, some super simple tools, and probably some things I've told you you might have heard before, but some other things are going to be new. So I want to tell you why I actually even care about this topic. Feminine leadership is a thing that has been talked about a lot. And I see a lot of women leading from the masculine, and they're worn out, overwhelmed, stressed. I also see a lot of men leading from the heart and not being recognized. And I believe that men leading from the heart, women leading from the heart, and then them coming together and using logic as a tool, the how-to as a tool to live from this, is how we're actually going to change the world. So I used to teach environmental policy at Ohio State. I spent all these years trying to figure out how to save the world. I'm a recovering save the world addict. We can only save the world. We can only really help people when we are saving ourselves, when we're in our full alignment with ourselves. Be the change we want to see in the world, right? And so I personally, and I know you because you're here as a leader, you want to see change in the world. You want to see people happier, healthier, and wealthier, most likely. You want to see people fit, rich, and in love, right? You want to see them connected to their higher self and enjoy and bringing in prosperity with ease. That's what we want. The feminine energy is about the attraction. The masculine energy is about the outer action. We need both to really make some creation amazing. And so I would ask you right now, before I go into the tips and tricks and how, consider in your own life a woman who leads from the heart. And what does it feel like to be around her? And put it in the chat if you want to share. And then think about a man who lives from the heart. And what is it like when you're around that person? What does it feel like around that person? So we don't have any in the chat yet, but we may. Both are hard. Balance is key. Yeah. It's interesting. I'll give you some tips today, hopefully to make it a little bit easier. So this feels good, comfortable, relaxing. So what if business could be good, could feel good, be comfortable and relaxing? Would anybody like to have a little more relaxation in your business? I believe every single person's business should be a playground for you. It should not be this like hard work thing. Is there work involved? Absolutely. But you should enjoy it because that's why people want to work with you. Margie said strength, secure, and confident. Yeah, people buy from people, right? We hear this all the time. They know, like, and trust. The only way to be known, liked, and trusted is to be with yourself, to know yourself, to like yourself, to trust yourself. If one of those pieces is off, you're probably not selling as much as you want. So so I'm going to give you three basically areas of life to consider when you're thinking about feminine leadership. Number one, and I'm going to give you guys some how in a sec, yourself, your own self. If you know yourself, like yourself, trust yourself, right? That's how you sell stuff. If you don't know yourself, why would you think that somebody else would want to know you? If you're not spending time with yourself, why would somebody else spend time with you, right? It doesn't make sense. So how do you get to know yourself? You have to be in your body. That is who you are. You are not your thoughts. That's like old school logic. We got to get rid of that in the future, really to create a new era in your business and for the whole world. You have to know that you are more than just your thoughts. It's this like little thing that you're carrying around. It's actually really important. So I have a 10-step system, and I'll give you guys a free training. It's bodywithlila.com. I'll put it in the chat, Body with Lila. It teaches you there's 10 key areas of your body. We could put it in any system, but I teach you 10 key areas of your body and what to do with them so that you're open, so that people can connect with you, and that so you can really literally live in your heart. So I'm going to give you guys a little experience here. I would love for you, if you trust me and if you can, if you're not driving, close your eyes just for a moment and breathe in, breathe out. Just take a breath. And if you're not able to do this right now, ask yourself why. Why can't you feel your breath? What would be so hard about just feeling yourself and knowing yourself for a second? That's usually what people are resisting, is really going in. So feel it just for a moment. And then now feel your breath come into your rib cage like fish gills. Breathe in, breathe out, wide. So most people say take a deep breath. Most people can't. Don't try to take a deep breath at first. Just go wide with your ribs, fish gills. Exhaling soft. And if you can, feel your heartbeat. You may want to place a hand on your heart if it's helpful. Breathe. And when you're ready, gently blink your eyes open and come back. And just notice your state. And what's different than before you closed your eyes and felt your breath in your heart. So breath, calm, Michael said, yeah. Wouldn't that be nice if people who want to work with you felt your calm energy? Relaxed. Yeah. People want to come toward you when you're like that versus listening to you, taking it in. It's a whole different way of doing business. I don't ever really have to go for business or look for stuff. It comes to me because I own it. So if you want to make more money, if you want to connect with people, you want to connect with higher level people, they don't want somebody who's overthinking. They want somebody who's calm and relaxed and confident and really owning their worth. And you can do all the mindset work you want to do. You can't fix the problem for where it comes from, though. So breath into your heart wide. Ribs wide. Just breathe. Close your eyes and breathe. Take a couple breaths until you feel your heartbeat. Okay? If you're trying to figure out how, you're stuck in some strategy, stop trying to figure out the strategy. If you're trying to figure it out, stop. I used to do that. That's why my adrenals got shot. I was always in the how-to, trying to figure it out, figuring everything out, and not just allowing myself to be guided by my own higher self, my own heart, my own intuition. So you have a smart brain up in there. You've got a great mind. Like, just trust that and let it go for a little bit. It's not going to stop. You're not going to stop thinking, but you have so much intelligence in your heart. Heart Math Institute has done research, and also there's been other places done research, but there's scientific evidence that shows that your heart has an electromagnetic field of 10, 12 feet or maybe more. So people can literally feel you. Your electromagnetic existence goes beyond your body, and theirs goes beyond their body, so they're intermingling. And so if you can be in that space, they feel you differently. Most people won't do this. This might not be for you, to be honest. Most people are going to think their way through life and get worn out. Most male CEOs don't make it past the first heart attack. And so I am here to help you not only build your business and create, but honestly stay healthy. Because if you're not here, you can't serve, can't give. And I know that there's actually more that can come through you, brilliance, and more that you can actually receive money-wise, clients, if you settle into your heart. We hear it all the time, but nobody teaches you how. And I'm here to teach you how today. Breathe, breathe, breathe. If you're thinking, you're probably holding your breath or keeping it really shallow in your upper part of your body. If you don't have enough oxygen, your brain is actually not cognitively functioning right. So there's so much. I could preach for 12 hours on breath right now. I'm not going to. I have systems and trainings and all that stuff. You can work with me privately. You can get my courses. I got free stuff, all of it, whatever level you're at. Commit today to being with yourself. Now, I want to take this just a little bit further and say, if we really want to, create this idea of integration between feminine and masculine energies within us, what that does is it helps us actually communicate with other people, men and women. So in addition to being with ourselves in terms of this idea of bringing in feminine leadership to create a new era, being with ourselves is one part. The second part is communication. So my PhD research was on collaborative decision making. And we really have to learn how to communicate with each other if we want new ideas and decisions. You might have an idea in your head and you haven't told anybody yet. You're trying to figure it out on yourself. Stop it. Just stop doing that. Communicate. Now, what I recommend is learning nonviolent communication so that you not only learn how to communicate, but how to communicate in a way that's most productive and also be a better listener. As a speaker, let me know for those of you out here who are speakers, if you ever feel like this. I actually have to really be mindful and learn how to listen really well, because I'm used to being the presenter, the speaker, the guide kind of in a lot of situations. And so listening is really how we connect with most of our clients. So if anybody felt that, give me some sparkle fingers. If you ever felt like as a speaker, you got to work on listening. You ever feel like that? Yeah. So the way to listen is not from the head. It's not being with the other person. It's actually to relax into your body, soften and let it in. That's listening. But most of us are trying to listen by being with the person. Like right now, are you listening to me by being with me? Or are you with yourself? Are you breathing and relaxing? People will start to feel you different, and they'll just want your offers. They'll want your stuff, and they don't even know why. I have a lot of people that sign up with me, and they go, I don't know why I want to work with you, but here's my money. Because they feel it. If I really dig in, they know, but they don't know from here. They know from here. People buy from the heart, from emotion, more from the head. You can logic people all day and they ain't going to buy. Mostly. You get to the vision of what they really want and they'll buy. The only way you can really get to the vision is to be with your own vision in your heart. So that's why this is so important. I could go a bajillion times more why. But okay, so number one, be with yourself, breathe. Number two, communication. Communication. I highly recommend becoming a master communicator, in particular, learning how to listen from your body by breathing. And then the third piece for a new era of humanity is a spirit of contribution. So there's a lot of talk about collaboration now. And I train a lot of speakers, actually, because a lot of speakers come to me and have conversion problems. They got the right speech, but it's not getting clients. It's because the way they're showing up, and we work on conversion, right? So what I often share with them is go with the spirit of contribution. It's not about getting clients or getting things anymore. That's going to come. It's not even about giving and giving, right? You're going to do that. You're probably a pretty giving person, generous person if you're here right now. It's about contribution. It's a different energy of I'm going to show up not just in my business and offer and give and support people and get clients and all that, but everywhere in life. As you walk down the street, you don't ignore a human because you're in your head. You feel that human because you're in your heart. You live in the spirit of contribution. That's what feminine leadership is. It's not about the business. It's not about one time looking like a leader. It's can you live your life in love always? So my name's Lila, spelled Lila. And to me, it stands for live in love always. Live in love always. And so I would challenge you and stay in touch with me and tell me what happens, but play with this. Play with the idea of what if you were breathing, feeling your heart as you go to the grocery store, the gas station, walking down the street. What would be different? What would feel different? What would come to you? You might right now be missing opportunities that you don't even know about because you're in your head. And when you're in your head, there's like blinders on. You can't even see them. So practice breathing, practice communicating with love, and practice being in the spirit of contribution, not only in your business, but everywhere in life. And keep me posted on what happens, because I love hearing about the magic that unfolds. And I'm going to put in the chat for you guys my website if you want to check out what I'm all about. I'm also going to give you a free body training, the 10 key areas of your body. This is actually part of a program that I created called Move and Grow Rich, similar to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, but I'm bringing in the body, Move and Grow Rich. So it really brings in his concepts and then bridges it with the body piece. And what I'm giving you here is the first training in that course, where it lays out the foundation of your body. And it's really cool because you'll notice, for example, with your feet, I tell you, are your toes down or up? With your hands, are your fingers, straight out or soft? So I give you kind of a binary system with each part of your body. You're either doing something that's expansive or you're doing something contractive. You're either doing the thing bringing in money or you're doing the thing that's not bringing in money. So your body is actually a key part of your business if you choose to use it and not struggle so much. So that's what that video is about. And then if you want to check out my podcast, I just started about 3 months ago. It's been a joy. It's subscribe to Lila.com. It's called Wow, Women Who Own Their Worth. And then if you need any more, help, if you want to talk to me, send me all your magical stories. I'm going to go ahead and give you my email address too, in case you want to stay in touch. Anybody have any questions about your body, about bridging your intuition, your wisdom, your love with your logic?
I do have a question. It's not about me, but I have a couple of family members who they turn their feet up. And I always thought that was the strangest thing. So what does that mean when they're sitting?
Yes. It's an unconscious fear response. Fear? When the toes, if you get like shocked, if somebody like comes around the corner and says a loud noise, the toes will go up.
Okay.
It's an unconscious fear response. And so most people are actually doing weird things with their toes. I used to be a total toe dancer. It was weird. Now the toes are settled, which is my mind is settled and I'm grounded. Usually it's overthinking and usually which creates an unconscious fear response. And so it's interesting. We don't even have to know what the mind thing is. If you can just start to walk like a cat and like on the fronts of the feet and let the toes go down instead of the heels clamping down so hard, that'll start to soften the mind.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. And one more piece I'll just give you guys. I know somebody else is coming up. Just a little clue right now to feel so good. We've been told to tighten our bellies our whole life. Stop. Relax your belly button away from your spine on a sales conversation. If you're trying to sell something, you're trying to speak or market, let your belly go. Otherwise you have like a block. So relax the belly button too, and that'll feel real good.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Lila. We're ready to move on to our next speaker. So it is awesome to have Dr. JoAnn Ajayi-Scott in the house. Dr. JoAnn is an award-winning professor, publisher, and public speaker who has spent the past 32 years promoting the mission to educate, mentor, and empower thousands of girls through the philanthropy of over 400 women through the nonprofit, Essence of a Lady, Inc. Now, as a retired educator, she is running the nonprofit full-time. She has relaunched the mentoring program for boys and is working to leverage business owners and entrepreneurs who give their time, talent, and treasure to support youth by providing a platform for them to share their story of success to the youth and the world. So let's turn the time over to Dr. JoAnn.
Hello, everyone. I I am so excited to be here today. I want to spend this time talking to you about the importance of fathers, the male's role of growing up, a female's perspective, if you will. Now, just a little bit about me. For over 32 years, I have been running Essence of a Lady Incorporated. Essence of a Lady is a sustainable 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our mission is to basically help women and girls maintain and gain maximum health and wealth. And we have done that through our signature programs. The first one is the E-Ladies Network. And through the E-Ladies Network, we have recruited professional and entrepreneurial women to become philanthropists, which means they give their time, talent, and treasure back to the girls through our mentoring program, which is our other signature program called Yale, which stands for Young Essence Ladies Learning. And this year, we relaunched our males mentoring program, which is called Why Me, which stands for Young Men Empowered. And we created a male network called the E-Men's Network so that men can give back to the boys. And in that spirit is why I'm here with you today. I'm here to talk to you about the 3 ways that fathers are very important. And the first one is to have a healthy development in a child's life. A child needs a father in their life. President Bush felt so strongly about this that in February 8th, 2006, he signed into law the Deficiency Reduction Act of 2005, where he allocated over $150 million to be spread out between 2006 and 2010 to promote and support healthy marriages and responsible fathers. And in specific, he actually allotted $50 million to be given to nonprofits, government entities, and faith-based organizations that promoted responsible fatherhood. Imagine that. There's money out there to encourage fathers to do and play the important role that they have. And the main reason that this is needed, because healthy development is important. The importance of fathers is right there. They are the pillar of development in a child's well-being, mainly. Children look to fathers for security, for physical and emotional security. They also want to make their father proud. I don't know about you, but one of the most important times in my life was when my father showed up April 1983. Yeah, I'm telling my age now. He showed up at my college graduation. That was the proudest moment of my life because I looked out there in the audience and he was there. And I'll never forget it. It's also important for him to be involved in their life to help promote inner growth and strength. See, one thing about a male, they don't have to do a lot. Their presence promotes strength, encouragement, and motivation. I was talking to my niece the other day, and she was talking about her father. Now, one thing I know about my niece, and my niece is almost 38 years old, she still looks at her father to help her make decisions. She told me about the story that he actually influenced whether she dated a guy or not. Now, mind you, she's 38 years old. This guy, she does hair for a living. She's a hairstylist. This guy wanted to fly her to a city to do his hair. And her dad said, why do you need to go to that city to do his hair? Why can't he just come here for you to do his hair? You don't need to go there. So guess what? In the midst of her business of number one, the client was willing to pay for her flight, pay for his hair getting done, and pay for room and board for her to come. In the midst of all that, and it also probably would have leveraged her business because she could say, hey, I'm international, I'm national, I travel here and there. Guess what she decided? She was not going because her daddy told her that she didn't need to do it. That's the impact that fathers have on our lives. You know, so that emotional and spiritual emotional and physical development is very important. It's so very important. You know, let's talk about the second way, childhood. So many things that we do is related to how we related and was developed by our relationships with our fathers. You know, transparency here. I was not blessed to have a father to be directly in my life all the time. My father, I grew up in a single parent home with my mother and my siblings because my mother made a safe decision to remove us from that home and from an abusive relationship. So we ended up in Jacksonville, Florida. And that's how I've been here, got here from 5 years old. But I was so excited every single time my dad took time to come and be with us. I remember he made me a purse, and I kept that purse for a very long time because it meant so much to me because my daddy made it for me. He physically created and built the purse. It was a leather purse, and it meant I still remember when he brought it to me. I still remember how happy I was. And I still remember every time I looked at it, I thought about him. Our experiences in life with our fathers are so critical. But I tell you, the downside of not having my father in my life was the struggles as an adult, figuring out how to deal with men. You know, you see my name is hyphenated, Ajayi-Scott, but that is not my maiden name and my married name. Those are actually my two married names because I kept the married name for, which is Ajayi in Africa, but we just say AJ in America because that is my two daughters' father's name. My first husband. I kept that because I wanted that connection. So my daughters, when they went to school, people would still see their father's name attached to my name and they could identify with that. And then of course, the Scott was from my second marriage. And I had great marriages, but I never totally understood how to communicate and how to deal with a man because I did not learn that skill. I was not blessed to have my father in the house with me growing up. But was I blessed with other men in my life? I was. My 7th grade math teacher, he and I had something in common, and he taught me how to deal with people, and he made my life, it was a pivotal point in my life when I went to him one day and I said, I don't know why people keep bothering me. I'm a kind person. I don't know why they keep picking on me. And he told me something that was like an epiphany. He said, JoAnn, there are 4 kinds of people in the world. Those who like you for who you are. Those who don't like you for who you are. Those who like you for who they think you are. And those who don't like you for who they think you are. He said, JoAnn, you can never please everybody. So the most important person to please is yourself. I was 12 years old, but that was the beginning of my high self-esteem, because I accepted the fact that I couldn't please them all. And the most important person was to please myself, because just like me, all of us strive to be happy. And that's what pleasing yourself is all about. So yes, I relish all the things that my father brought into my childhood, but the little things that he did not bring into my childhood were the things that I was blessed to have other male role models bring into my life. So childhood support is very important. And I just want y'all to know, I have not given up on love and a great marriage. Just understand that. Now, the third way that is important is kind of like what I've already spoken about, but I'm going to give a little bit more details on it. And that is the role that father has for daughters in general. Daughters, just like myself, it's important to have a relationship with your girls, because you set the first example of what type of man your daughter will look for when she grows up. And I'll tell you, I'm going to give you 3. I've already told you from my perspective, but I want to talk to you from 2 other perspectives that I've witnessed in my life. The first one is my own daughters. One thing that I never did was talk bad about their father. When he and our marriage ended, my daughters were still young. My youngest daughter was only 3 or 4 years old. My oldest daughter was around 10. And I tell you, I saw both of them grow up and their perspective of their father. My youngest daughter, who my ex-husband loved, I mean, he lived out of the country most of the time, and that was one of the reasons I divorced him. I must admit, I told him you were too far to have a family. So he moved back to South Africa to build his telecommunication business. And so that's when the divorce happened. And so he would come to town though. And every time he came to town, he would go and see my youngest daughter. I still remember him going when she was 5 years old, going to her school and picking her up, taking her out to lunch and just doing all kind of special things. And he loved it because everybody said that she looked like him. And so he just relished in that. And he spent a lot of time with her until she got a little older. Now, my oldest daughter, quite the opposite. He came into town on several occasions, and he saw my youngest daughter, but never put forth the effort to see my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter would just cry, cry, cry. I would spend so much time trying to let her know that she is loved and that she was important and that her father loved her. He just could not get to her. I never ever spoke bad about my children's father. To this day, they would be like, well, Ma, you never said. I say no, because I don't care what the situation is, whether he's present physically all the time or not. He is still your father and always will be. And guess what? You're blessed to have him, because every child does not have a father that they see some of the time. Some kids aren't even blessed to ever see their father. So I always try to build that up. But the amazing thing happened. Once they became an adult, my youngest daughter, who he would relish in and spend so much time, can't stand him. And I could not understand why. Well, what happened was she remembered how he treated her oldest sister. She remembered that he was just totally unfair to her. And as they got older, they saw him less and less. She remembered that. And all they remember is that every time they were graduating, whether they were graduating from high school or college, he was always there for that, always showed up. But other than that, they didn't see him that much. So now, as an adult, my oldest daughter, the crazy thing is, it kind of flipped the script. Because my oldest daughter, because she never got the love that she aspired to have and wanted so much from her father, anytime he calls her, she anxiously rushes to try to get to the phone. And because he's calling out of the country, if she missed the call, she'll call me and ask me if he called me to see how she could possibly still communicate with him. And now with WhatsApp and all these other different ways you could communicate internationally without it costing a lot of money, she uses that. But my youngest daughter, she doesn't want to have anything to do with it. In fact, my youngest daughter is getting ready to graduate from law school in December. And she has made me promise not to give him the information. And I'm struggling with that because I know in his own way, he loves both of them. And I know that he would want to be there. But you know what? I have to respect where my daughter is, because she got really mad at me the last time when she graduated with her bachelor's degree and I sent him the information. But I'm still struggling with not giving him the information. But the last story I want to tell you about with daughters is the story of one of my best friends. She's from Chicago, Illinois. She has her own children, 2 boys. She has her own grandchildren, about 6 or 7 boys, 8 or 9, I can't recall. But I tell you, I've never seen a father and daughter's love the way I saw theirs. From the time I went with her to Chicago, I go with her every single year since 2013. She has moved away from Chicago probably 40 years ago, but every single year she would be there. She would be there to be with her father. Sadly, her father died 3 years ago. And it's a struggle for her to go back to Chicago, but she still goes. She goes for the memories. Because I remember us sitting in the kitchen, her sitting in the kitchen with her dad. And it was like she relished in it. She would just sit there. What do you want, Dad? What do you want to eat tonight? I'm going to go out and buy food to cook your favorite foods. Oh, she lived for her father. Even when she was here, she was calling. She would make sure if he needed a car, she would go there. She would buy. So it was love for a father like I'd never seen before, because her dad had shown her so much love. She learned how to love. She had some of the best marriages. Yes, she had a couple, but it wasn't because they weren't in love. She had the support. She knew how to communicate very effectively. She knows how to communicate very effectively with men because she learned it from her father. Understand this, men, if you don't understand nothing else. Your children love you unconditionally. They want your love continuously, and they aspire to please you always. And that's why it's very, very important for you to understand that your role in your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren are very important. And that is why next Tuesday, June the 15th, Essence of a Lady Incorporated will be celebrating graduating seniors. As you can see behind on my platform, we're celebrating grads and dads on June 15th. And for more information, you can go to www.eladies.org. I will put that in the chat. If I can find it, I'm looking for I see the chat. I will put that in the chat. But we're celebrating Jalen Hall, who will be graduating who graduated from high school already on May the 25th here in Jacksonville, Florida. She's been a Yale girl for as long as I can remember. In fact, she has a mentor, Margie Ramsey, who speaks to her directly. Who mentors with her. They have a one-to-one mentoring. We also have JoAnn Simmons. He's graduating from Terry Parker High School here. He graduated June 4th. And we are blessed from the donations of supporters of Essence of a Lady to be able to give both of these young people a $500 scholarship. Yes, a $500 scholarship. Now, in addition to that, we are celebrating 3 dads. 2 of them are first-time dads. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a call. And they are first-time dads, and they're dads through the pandemic. Down to my bottom right, your left is Byron Evans. And on my, this is my left, and Prentice Robinson. Both of them became fathers during the pandemic. They will share their story. And it's one that you can't see. Is Sterling James. He is a single father of 3 beautiful girls in the Northeast Minnesota. They will be on, and we will be honoring these dads for the job that they're doing to raise their children through the pandemic, 2 of them, and one who's been raising, He has like a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 15-year-old. He will share his amazing story with us. Again, I'm going to type the website. I am hoping that you join us because each month we celebrate people in our community. We call it fabulous because fabulous is not just how you look. Fabulous is how you feel. And we look at fabulous, the synonym is ordinary. So we celebrate ordinary people doing extraordinary works in their community, business, and family. Because Essence of a Lady for 32 years have supported its community. Our motto is self-esteem is the essence of a lady. I truly thank you for your time. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know right now. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Well, I truly appreciate you being on here and listening to me today. Remember, we will not be remembered for the cars we drive, the clothes we wear, the houses we live in. We will be remembered by what we have done for others. And that's what philanthropy is all about, giving your time, your talent, and your treasure for the good of your community. For more information on how you can give back, go to www.eladies.org. I am Dr. JoAnn Ajayi-Scott, CEO and Chief Philanthropic Officer of Essence of a Lady Incorporated. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, JoAnn. Last month, you spoke about women during the month of Mother's Day, and this month, talking about fathers for the month of Father's Day. So that, I think, is really cool. And men issues and father issues, that is very dear to my heart because that's one of the things that I coach men on is or men who didn't have a good father in the home, or maybe had a father like mine that that wasn't there for them emotionally. So I really enjoyed that. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for letting me talk a little bit about myself. All right, so it's time to move on to our next speaker. And our next speaker is Barney Kramer. Barney is a lifelong entrepreneur, leader, business strategist, and is currently the CEO of Strategic Magic Academy. He is the publisher and editor of the American Business Times and is also a founding affiliate of Be Connected. So I am turning the time over to Barney Kramer.
Thank you, Brian. It's a delight to be here today, and you know, I've got a real fond spot in my heart for the Public Speakers Association. When I was struggling in an online business, which was new to me about 6 years ago, Tanya Hoffman, the original founder, and I happened to appear through an agent on the same stage on it, and I was trying to build my business. And you know, the world is very different even 5 or 6 years ago than what it is today. And so I attribute a lot of the success that I've had in my business online to this kind of a show right here. And so I highly encourage anybody that's on the show right now that public speakers and getting in front of people, whether it's virtually, whether it's on a small stage or whatever, it can be one of the 2 or 3 best things that that you can ever do in your career, because if nobody knows who you are, it doesn't matter what your message is. And the other one we're going to talk about today is one of the other things that was the second most important in my building a presence online and getting to be known in the community, and that is the American Business Times. And that comes from a marketing perspective. I spent 45 years in the old bricks and mortar school, and the vast majority of it up until the last 2 or 3 years of that, doing marketing the way it used to be done. And when we built a business on the corner, we got it. Marketing was really all about creating the desire for somebody to buy your products on it, and it was how you drew attention. You put up billboards and buses. You put signs on buses and bus stops, and the sides of cars, and about everything you can think of, the sides of buildings on it. And so that was basically what most of us did to be able to introduce people and let people know about their business and what they did on it. And much to my surprise, when I decided, I had a staffing company in 2013, 2014, and I'd had it for about almost 20 years. And I finally got tired of the business and what was going on to it. And the internet had a dramatic impact to the business on it. But I didn't realize how powerful it'd become and everything else that I did. And so, when you define the problem today, in the old days, we used to go down the street and knock on doors, or we would pick the phone up and we would call somebody, or we'd send them a letter and they'd respond to that. And so the vast majority of my 45 years was spent doing business that way. And even at the tail end of what I call my brick and mortar career, that was a lot of what I was doing to make myself known, to get my products in front of an audience, and to build a business out of it. And I had some pretty good success at it. And I wasn't a natural at doing that, but I wasn't afraid. I knew that if I was going to be successful in business, whether I was comfortable talking to strangers or not, it was something I really had to master and overcome, or I would have been out of business a long time ago. And so when I got into this business, the first thing, and I led in this business, I wanted to be a business management consulting on it. Well, you still have the same basic problem on it, even though I had a list of several thousand people on it. They knew me as what I had been for almost 20 years, and that's the headhunter, the recruiter, the staffing guy, whatever you wanted to call me in the business. And I had a couple of offices and 12 or 14 people working for me, so it wasn't a great big operation, but it was fair size. I mean, the payroll was that was always a little daunting to look at the size of the checks that I had to write every Friday, and so there was a lot of movement. And what I was shocked to find out was that that whole door-to-door business, that when you're in it, when you're a headhunter and a recruiter, you have a real edge on people, because especially at the level I was working at, which was high-end banking and accounting and that type of thing. And if I had a real top producer and somebody that was top-notch in their business, was looking to make a change, that was almost, I almost never had somebody refuse to pick that phone up and talk to me. Well, when I got out of that business and started trying to sell my leadership and business services, I was shocked at how difficult, even my friends, they might pick the phone up and say, "Barney, we don't need any help right now. We've got a good crew on it. They're doing all the right things." Well, that was their opinion on it. But nevertheless, I didn't get anywhere with it. And I could watch my business start to shrink from a live class where we competed at one time. The products that I have competed with some of the biggest in the industry on it. And so it wasn't a little dinky operation on it. It was a really, really good product, and it remains that today. And I realized that if I was going to go anywhere, I was going to have to find a way to get online, because people weren't answering the doors. They weren't answering the mail. They didn't answer their email. And of course, the phone, you can forget that. That would have been gone for a long time. And nowadays, a lot of people won't let, if it's a business, a factory, a plant, or something of that nature, and your products or services sold to them, you just as likely as not won't even get to go through the front door. They'll have a guard at a shack sitting out front someplace, or somebody there, or maybe just a bell on the desk that and a directory of people you might get lucky and be able to get to. So you got if you're going to be successful in business, whatever you're selling or whatever your product is, whatever your service is, you're going to have to be able to get that product in front of the people that are going to benefit by that product because it solves either a need or a want in their business on it. And so if the doors are closed, the phone isn't getting answered, the emails aren't getting answered, the letters don't mean anything, then the last stop for all of us, whether we like it or not, is online. And of course, I found out online, which didn't come as a big surprise to me, that I didn't have an awful lot of skills. I mean, about all I'd done with email for the 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years, for the maybe 10 years at that time that I'm talking 2013 or 14, the 10 years prior to that, had gone from email to, there were some job boards, and I didn't know a heck of a lot about anything. Somebody set up an email account. If I got lucky, I could find the addresses on it. And so it really began to be a challenge. As I started trying to use that, I realized that I was woefully unprepared to do anything. And if I couldn't get a hold of the people that were responsible for purchasing and using those kinds of services and, my courses and my classes and those kinds of things, that I wasn't going to survive very long. And what really came as a shock to me, and I've never thought of myself as somebody that's great at the technical part of life on it. It's not something that I have any real aptitude for. And when I started looking at how much of a challenge that was going to be, I really found that I was up against a brick wall, if you will. And so the only option that I had to me at that time was to be able to hire somebody that could do all of that stuff for me, and then or farm it out, pay somebody else out, third party, to do that. And either one of those things, I was either going to spend a lot of money, and you're talking $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year to hire a full-time marketing person that knows how to work social media and all the different platforms that we have now, and do email marketing. And that's not to mention the cost of the applications and all the rest of that. Or give it to a third party, and that was just as expensive. You're going to be paying them $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to be able to get your products in front of people. And of course, there's a huge wrap-up time involved in it. So it was one of the big shocks that I found as a small businessman. And I had no lack of experience, but I was not experienced in how to build an online business and do it effectively on it. And so you start looking for solutions to it. You find out that there's social media and content marketing and all the things that you talk about, but you also find out that stuff is awfully ineffective unless you've got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience with it on it. And so you end up spending tons of time. I tell people today, as somebody who works with a number of startups and smaller businesses, and people are just really getting rolling, that if you don't have a tech partner in there, some solution to your lack of technology skills, you're not going to make it in a small business. And I truly believe that. And I've been in it long enough now, about 7 years in online sales and business development, that I've seen an awful lot of people with good ideas, good products, and good services go by the wayside because they simply couldn't build the business fast enough. And so one of the, I start my search for a solution to that. I'm not a person who gives up easily. I've been successful in just about everything I've done in my business life. And at one point I built a business to 8 figures, and it was a difficult business to be in. So I've, through listening to a lot of good people and having a few mentors here and there in my life, I've found I've been able to be successful. And I knew that the solution to this was to find a way to get my products and services in front of that prospective client. And I had a friend whose online newsletter had been published for almost 15 years at the time. And I came across it 5 or 6 years prior to that. And it was absolutely beautiful because what it had in it was a half a dozen articles, and there were business news articles all around the country, some of the kind of things that would sort of be of general interest. It wasn't like the local news per se, but sometimes it was. And so I used to watch that, and then would get a half a dozen articles, and he would publish this 6 days a week. And so it was truly a full-time job for him. He had a couple people helping then, and he, of course, he had been in the business, the news business. He had a radio station and even a television station one time, so he had lots and lots of experience at it. But what he could never do was make a profit out of it. You know, he had all these, at one time he had 7 million people reading that newsletter, and yet that wasn't enough for him to be able to sell what was the only way you could really monetize a newsletter at that time, and that was to be able to sell the advertising. Well, the advertising was so dispersed and so different that it might be the dog walking person down the street, or it could be somebody selling clothing or sports good. It could be anything. So it was all over the place. And of course, the readership, when you look at the analytics, and I know I may be getting in the weeds for some of you, but I'm going to simplify this with the solution that I'm going to put in front of you today, which is going to be the American Business Times on it, and show you how and tell you why that works and how it's a great opportunity for the small business on it. And so he was never able to make it do anything worthwhile out of it, and finally said, you know, I'm going to shut this down. And I almost had a seizure about that time, because I knew that was, in fact, I had been on, he did a podcast occasionally, and I'd done a couple of those, and anytime I could get an article in that newsletter and get it in front of people on it, I would get more traction out of that. The two things that I would do is speaking directly to an audience, or being able to publish some kind of an article that somebody would read on it. And both of those things were how I was getting traction. That's why I went seeking public speakers, you know, Brian's company, and in those two avenues. And I said, Doug, don't do that, whatever you do. Well, to make a very long story short, it took almost 4 years, because of they had some archaic servers and things. The mailing list was actually never found. We knew who had it, but it had been started so long ago that nobody seemed to be able to get any cooperation, track it down. And so finally I made the decision that we'll just start all over again, because I believe so strongly that this was a solution for people like a lot of you, that I wasn't in a position. I mean, it wasn't a question of being able to afford it or not, but to put $8,000 or $10,000 a month out to hope I could find somebody to show my product to was not something that I thought was a very good risk on it. And that's proven to be true, because I've watched other people do it. You know, just the ability to, and one of the challenges is that it's a lot more difficult to find that target than you think it is. And you say, well, I can sell it to any one of 7 billion people. And that's exactly right. And somebody on the other side of the globe that we live on, they can do the same thing. So what ends up quickly happening in there is you get lost in the weeds in it. And you know, if you start doing certain activities, you'd be surprised how few that, unless you're fairly well known, you put a webinar on, you may have 500 people sign up for it, and you get 2 show up. And when you're trying, you got 2 or 3 or 4, and I tried that for a while too, by the way. And so I tried a lot of different avenues, and yet the 2 things that were getting me the most traction was speaking to a group of people who were interested in what I had to say, and they had a need or want, or writing articles about that same need or want and providing, here's the solution to it. So I finally, just a few short weeks ago, was able to pull the people together. I've got a couple of quasi partners in the project itself. I've got a couple of VAs that are highly competent in technology. And we started off kind of modest, but it will begin to grow and grow and grow over time. And what actually happens is, rather than charging people to get to read my newsletter, or trying to sell ads to get to pay for that newsletter, because it's a cost to it. People aren't free, and time isn't free, and the airwaves and all the apps and everything else aren't free. Somebody's got to pay for that. And one of the newest things in the market, there's not a whole lot of people doing it, so I'm not necessarily got a brand new idea out there, but it is relatively uncommon on it. And I figured that if I could take, in fact, I tried a lot of collaborations and none of them worked. They all wanted to collaborate with me, but the idea of collaboration was for me to pay them a bunch of money up front, and then they'd do the work on it, and if it worked, fine, or not fine. And so there seems to be a real schism between collaboration and what it actually amounts to. And so what I have done with the newsletter is I'm going to allow people to write articles that have information about what they do, how they do it, why their products are good, why they're good in the marketplace, and then make an offer to sell those products and services. And in exchange for doing that, you pay nothing to American Business Times up front. However, if you generate sales on it, you're now able to, I get a little bit of commission on it, or rather the American Business Times takes a little slice for that. But if you don't sell anything, you don't pay anything. And so that's about as good as it gets in this world on it. Obviously, if we're not able to generate enough readers on it, you're not going to be able to sell a lot of product and service either. But we're starting out with what we believe is pretty close to, and this comes as a direct result of the relationships that I've been able to build through speaking, through Public Speakers Association, through the people I've met, through organizations like Be Connected, who now has, they have enough groups in it that theoretically we could have over 50 million people. And Be Connected is one of the organizations that will push because I'm a member of it, will push my newsletter out there for me to help me build my business. And so for those of you who have a product or a service, what it requires is for me to look at what you've got to see if it's something that I think in, and if it is not, I'm not, there's just a million different great things I can do. I work with nonprofits, those kinds of things, but my business is built around providing the resources and the connections to people who are in the business that you need to be talking to, or people that want the kinds of products and services that you offer. And by putting those in front of enough people, we believe we're close to a couple 100,000 in followers already, which is a monster amount of people. When you actually start looking at the numbers and you get the analytics and can see that stuff, that's a lot of people to start with, and we hope to, in a very short period of time, to be able to drive enough people to it, because we got a solution to everything. We got the resources. I don't care what it is that you need in your business. I can almost assure you that my resources, and there will be a resource directory as we begin to bring the right people in it. So if you have a product and a service that's there's a demand in the marketplace for it, and I'm personally comfortable, I got a team of people that we knock heads around and sort of an advisory staff, if you will, that says this is something that we need to be allowing this person to put in the marketplace, and that's exactly what we do. So you put your article together, and we don't want to keep it to 800, 1,000, 1,200 words, and it needs to be and we're going to have editorial control over it. We want this, and I'm going to show you right now. So if you'll bear with me 1 second, and I'm getting so good at this, I can actually share a screen and make it work on occasion. So I'll give you a little look at, and hopefully this is coming through. Brian, am I coming through okay? You should be able to see the American Business Times.
Yes, it looks good.
Perfect. Okay. And so what we do is we publish a number of news articles. We publish twice a week on it. And I'll give you something simple. I'm gonna open an article, which I think requires me to. Can you see the article, or do I need to reshare it again? There's an article that says Manufacturing Outlook.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. All right. So that's just one of them. So we take articles this talks about, and this is the kind of thing we want to do. One of the things you have to do in business on it is you generally have to keep yourself fairly well informed on it, at least have enough to talk about when you sit down to the next person that you're interested in engaging with. We've got an article about taxpayers fleeing the blue states, and they're already taken. I happen to know somebody actually moved from California to I live in California to Nevada, and he had a heck of a time getting his money out of California. I didn't know that was true. I had heard rumors of it, but so anyway, so this is the kind of thing we do. You know, we have a half a dozen articles that are published twice a week. 3 of them will be about some idea about how to effectively manage your financial portfolio and what's different in it, or how to hire the right kind of people, or how to do just what we're doing here, small, new ideas and new concepts for marketing for small to medium-sized businesses. And so, we will have an event calendar which will be more focused towards national kinds of organizations. So within the next 2 or 3 months, this will become fairly robust. We've been out there for about 3 weeks in it. And, we're pretty well. We've had a couple of challenges with it, but we managed to limp past them. I had a couple of editorial problems. I probably changed the fonts and something on it. When you're new in the marketplace, you better get a lot of things right on it, because everybody's looking at you with a fine tooth comb. But we find out that so I'm just absolutely thrilled with it, and I'm able to offer it to everybody that's on this call. And so I think it's clear. It doesn't cost you anything. I need to approve what it is you're going to. I am the editor and the publisher on this thing, so it has to be quality. It can't be something that it's not it really isn't designed to be for. I want something that's original. That's your product, your services, your flyers, your kind of things, and then why it's going to help them. And we allow you to. How we monetize that is we put an affiliate link on that says that when somebody goes to this site and buys something from me, then that pre-approved or pre-agreed upon amount of compensation to American Business Times is what it costs you, but it costs you nothing, which is really the killer in most businesses. I don't know how many of you are comfortable, and that's what I stumbled across. I couldn't afford to put $8,000 or $10,000 a month out to get the kind of coverage. I could get it for, do it for $500, but I guarantee you might as well take it out in the backyard and burn it if that's the kind of money you're going to spend on it. So having said that, I'm going to shut this down, just turn this off if everything goes well. And do you have any questions that I can answer? Let's see. Okay. That's the end of my story. Brian, any questions from you or anybody out there in the audience? And I'll put how do you contact me? I will put it right here in the chat box if I can get it in here. That's my next employee is going to be somebody to run these things, these kind of things for me. info@smra1.com. Okay. That'll take you to me, and it's just a way I have of identifying where it's coming from. I use a couple of different email messages on it. I'll give you go ahead.
How do you register again? You say, what is the website?
All you have to do is, it's right there in the chat box. It's info@smra1.com. That puts you on the mailing list. It actually comes directly to me. So if you have a question, just like any other email, just send an email to me. My name is Barney Kramer, B-A-R-N-E-Y, Kramer, K-R-A-M-E-R, and I'm happy to chat with you, happy to talk with you about what your product is and whether it's a fit for what we do. And, and then eventually in somewhere down the road, we'll have a resource directory for that'll sort of be divided up in a regional. If you're in the south part of the country, it'll be the best of the best, whether it's CPA firms. And, I've been in business for a long time, and I say without intending to brag that I have an awful lot of really, really, really talented people like Brian and, his predecessor, and, Moss Adams is one of the largest companies in CPA firms in the country. And I've got some connections. And so that's just been a matter. I have done business at one point in time with everybody from the United States military to Fred's Body Shop on the corner. So
Got you. Maybe I asked the wrong question. The name of the newsletter is American Business Times.
Yeah.
So you can find it by going to americanbusinesstimes.com.
That'll show you the newsletter, yes. But in order to, but the emailing address for that is info@smra1.com. So
Gotcha.
let me just paste this right in here. You wouldn't believe how long it's taken me to be able to do what I'm doing right here. I mean, there was a guy, there were a few times I thought I was just going to have to sit down and cry and get it over with. Very, very frustrating.
Well, it's called tenacity.
Yeah. So, but I think it's a phenomenal idea. It's a bunch of people like me that are going to say, hey, there's got to be another way, because I'll tell you the truth. I'm conceited enough to believe, I guess. I don't think I'm conceited. I think I know what I'm talking about. The course that I have is one of the 2 or 3 best in the entire country. I would put it right at the top. And I couldn't get anybody to even look at it because nobody answered an email. Nobody answered anything. I said, this is absurd. And even good friends, we go to lunch, but they didn't want to hear about my services because they didn't necessarily need my services. How do I get if I don't care how good what you have is, if you can't get that in front of somebody that needs or wants that, you're not going to make it. And that's brutal, but that's what it amounts to. So I did this as a matter of, I'm not a quitter. I've struggled. If you've been in business for 50 years like I've had, you've had some success and you had some things that it was about how can we not burn the building down with this one on it, because it's just
One last question.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the wealth
You're
of
quite well.
I see you're promoting Be Connected. I know my friend Tanya Hoffman started that last year. In fact, I was looking back at her email, sending it to me last April about the pre-lunch. So what is your connection with Tanya and Be Connected, since you're promoting it?
Tanya and I am a qualified founding affiliate of Be Connected on it, which means that I've got a number of people on it. I'm as high as you can go in the organization. I believe I was the 19th person in the organization. Tanya and I were friends. That's how I met her. She happened to own Public Speakers Association at the time, and we met. I hired a speaking agent, and he happened to be doing some work for Tanya, and so that's how I met her. And we were. If you've met Tanya, you know that she's a friend. I mean, she's one of the sweetest people that I know on it. So that's my connection with her. You've got some things are going to change. Let's see, what is it? As of Sunday. So if you're looking to get into it, you need to get in it now, because it's going to be, we're growing like crazy. And it's because what Be Connected is basically it's kind of like an eHarmony site where you don't have to worry about being spammed and trolled by, there's a couple sites out there that I've got a lot of connections on it, and I don't use it. And I was getting to the point where I was about to turn it off because I couldn't, if I don't accept everybody's invitation, I sound arrogant. If I did, I end up listening to their sales pitch immediately. So that's not a collaboration. If I call you and I'm going to pitch you my products, that's not a collaboration. And I don't know you. You got to we buy from people we know, like, and trust on it, and that takes more than just one conversation. Me expect to buy from somebody I've never heard of before, something that I may have never heard of before, just because they're nice guys, So I would suggest you do something as soon as possible on it, because it will be more expensive to get into. There's a couple changes in what's going to be available to the people, but there's nothing better than this in my view. And I've been in It wasn't, and that's not because of Tanya. It just happened to be, but this takes all the problems out of it. You get to decide who's going to be your partner, and you get to say yes or no to them. You hit a button on it, it'll show you 6 people that have what you say you want to do and the kind of people you want to engage in. And if you don't want any of those 6, hit the button again, you'll get 6 more. So I don't know the numbers of what we have, but I know it's in the hundreds of thousands of people already. We have enough organizations that are partners, and we have a special way of bringing them in, where the organization literally is given a free membership under certain parameters, and then their members are allowed to join at a discounted rate. And I know we have one organization that has over 600 million people in it right now. And it has a lot of nonprofits in it too. I mean, a lot of them are nonprofits because those are some of the people, the chambers and the nonprofits just absolutely got clobbered in this environment. So anyway, happy to talk to you. Tanya's your person on it. You know, you could, I've got my own, I even have my own website, barneykramer.beconnected.com. So
Watch out there now.
yeah.
But yeah, I just texted her. I've known Tanya for about 9 years. She's been she and I have been friends for a long time.
So but, you tell her you know me and that you want special
privilege. Yes, I just texted her. She texted me back. So thanks so much for the information.
You're quite welcome. And don't forget about the American Business Times either. So
right, I wrote it down. Yeah. I'm going to connect. Right. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being
Brian.
Thank you for being here, Brian. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Barney.
All right.
Well, this ends our virtual summit for this month, and hope to see you next month. So thanks, Barney, and thanks to our other speakers, Katrina and Lila and Dr. JoAnn. So we'll sign off now, and take care. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.